Cool, Justin, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm being short and I'm actually publishing 2 videos in one day. Now, this is what I've had on on my mind for a while. What it is, it's a... It's an interesting-ish movie. Concept is nice. Concept is nice, but the problem is... Well, let's get to the question. Can a horror movie still be good if it's predictable? And I'm not talking like predictable, oh my, people are gonna die. Specifically, in watching the movie Would You Rather, because that's kind of what prompted this question. The outcome of the movie is obvious from the very beginning. And I have my glasses on. That brightness on my eyes looks weird. Oh, yeah, I'm super professional. The outcome of the movie is kind of predictable from the very beginning. All the clues given, everything that's built up is predictable from the start of the movie. And I'm not talking, this is only going to be the main character because she's the only one presented with the backstory. No, I mean the entire movie's predictable. So, this is going to be spoilers if you don't know. Because it's hard. It is hard in this movie to say you're not predictable. I just can't do it. It's not possible. So, the premise of this movie is you find yourself with 8 people at a... The idea is this. You have 8 people that are down on their luck for one reason or another. Gambling, brothers' bills, and parents died and left a whole bunch of debt. There's one woman that very strongly hinted at, but not said outright, killed her family by drowning them in a bathtub. That's what's implied. And the first you get introduced to the rest of the characters is when they're sitting down at this game table. And it's just like a big old board table. It's nothing special. They have dinner and they're being polite and they open up the salvo, basically the movie, is taking the vegetarian main character and saying, would you have a piece of that foie gras if I paid you $10,000? Would you sacrifice your principal for 10 grand? Right here, cash money. And for each of these people, they're playing for a different purpose. But it's not hard to identify who's going to be the big winner at the end of the movie because there's only one character with any level of background introduction before the start of the game. I was watching a review someone did of A House of a Thousand Corpses, Count Dracula. And he pointed out, and it's same in this movie, he pointed out that you don't feel when the movie starts that Captain Spaulding is going to be treated poorly. Or if he is treated poorly, he's going to get his revenge. Because you're introduced to him first, you're introduced to him as being a powerful person, at least in the movie sense. And then you get introduced to the death toll. Although it does have Rainn Wilson and I kind of liked him in it ish. I think he does much better comedy than he does horror. But in the opening, we also see her brother, who has cancer, saying, I kind of wish I would just die so you could live your life. And she's like, no, I want to live with you and we're going to live together and you're going to beat this thing. First 5 minutes of the movie, can we guess what's going to happen? Yeah, we all know. And that's like on page 3 of my little handwritten review here. Came with notes again, and that's the reason you keep seeing me look down. So, the movie is essentially torture porn light. You don't really see any of the blood or gore. They're clever in the way that they hide it. Like, there's a point where a guy has to slice open his eye, and you see him do this number. So you don't actually see it. You see the little blood splatter come down, but you don't see the actual incision or the cut. I think he used a razor blade or a scalpel because I think the guy was a doctor. But it's basically torture porn light. And the movie is one of those forced narrative, not even forced narrative, it's a forced ideologue, or a forced ideology and forced perspective on the hyper-rich controlling the poor with money. Look at this. We'll make you degrade yourself for money, money, money. That's all that matters is money. Friggin' Megabyte from... Oh. Can't remember the name of the show. Reboot. There we go. And it's supposed to be this... It's on the surface, and it's so obvious to see. They were trying to make this grand statement about money and control and that, and the problem is that it's just there out in the open, so you don't have any subtext to it. You don't have any thoughts running into this as it begins. You just have the, I'm rich and you can't do nothing about it except for dance on my puppet marionettes. Dance! Ah! And he's played as a cartoonishly dumb villain, or cartoonish villain. I don't want to call him dumb because he's not getting caught. And that's kind of the problem, and solving a problem like this, the idea of what the main character was espousing was that everything that you've done and every decision that you've made have led to this point in your life. You only have yourself to blame for it. And that essentially what he's doing is charity. You're torturing people for about 4 to 5 hours and calling it charity because you give them a whole bunch of money. No. I will say, the restraint that they had on the blood and guts and the gore is absolutely amazing. Because they could have gone deep in on this and just showed a lot of blood, a lot of violence, a lot of... I mean, there's some action scenes in it, but they could have gone ultra violent with this and given it a really hard R. But this is like a soft R because you don't see like any of the cuts. You see one person get drowned. One person has a heart attack after the M80 blows up in their hand, but that's about it. There's a couple people who get shot. So that's something that can be really stressed here, is that actually is a positive for the film. They're not pushing the blood and guts angle of it. They were pushing this idea that the rich see us as their puppets. I don't exactly believe that personally, but you know, I'm trying to keep that shit out of my dialogue here. Now, the way that they were trying to do this is the main characters were supposed to be dealing with a stressful situation and making hard choices. At one point in the movie, you have to either stab your neighbor in the leg, the neighbor to your right, I believe, or you have to smack this guy 3 times on the back with a African, like they denote a tribe. But you have to smack this guy on his back 3 times, and he's already looks like he's been beaten. Like, by the time you get to like the 3rd or 4th character, he's already had a lot of whacks, and it looks quite painful. So, that is at the heart of the movie. Like I said, it has a couple of good things. You have to make the decision within a time frame, and that's what makes it stressful. It's not just do you stab the person to your right or beat this guy. It is you have to make the decision in 30 seconds. So the dialogue that's exchanged between the characters within that short period of time, I mean, I can go back and see if it was actually 30 seconds. But that's not the point. I liked it. It was good. You have that 30 seconds go mentality. You don't get to sit there and think out the decision, let the guy kind of rest up. Okay, next person. Stab the guy on your right, beat that guy 3 times, click, go. 15 seconds left, what are you going to do? If you refuse to participate, you'll be removed as a participant. And that's how each of these goes. If you don't play, you die. And I will say that gives a nice angle. Predictable, but it's nice because the aspect that they're looking at, that they were pushing forward, is that's important to it. Now, that said, the movie kind of runs along with this idea. They try to make an attempt to escape. You're down to the last 4 people, and they're given a card at random. And you either have to do 2 minutes holding your breath while someone pushes your face down into a bucket of water, which makes the Asian girl, because I don't remember her name because they were all given a characteristic to define themselves by, suddenly becomes panicked. And you take 2 minutes in the barrel. Sorry. Or you take a look at your card and see what the card says. First guy, it's blow your hand up. Let a M80 go off in your hand. And he dies of a heart attack. Next person is the woman. No, it was the doctor. Again, single characteristic here. And he has to cut his eye. She doesn't take the card. She takes it 2 minutes in the barrel. All the while, the Asian woman is freaking out like, oh. And she's like, I'll take the card. Because she's obviously freaked out about the barrel. And it's 5 minutes in the barrel. Yeah, at random my butt. So, you have 2 characters that have died, and we're getting into the final round. And the biggest twist here is the person, I forget how it was a coin toss to see who began the next round. Fling, heads for you, tails for you. It's the woman. It's the main character. One we were introduced at the beginning of the film. Oh my god, she won the coin toss. She's put a dueling pistol in front of her with 1 shot, because she can't kill everyone in the room, which I give the villains props for that. And she's told, you can walk out of here and take nothing with you. You win none of the money, not even the 10 grand, and both you and your doctor friend lives. Or, you shoot your doctor friend, and I'm saying friend is kind of a... He just says what the character's name is. Or you shoot the doctor in the chat. Shoot the doctor. And you walk out with, I think it's like $250,000 or $500,000. So the biggest twist in this movie is how quickly she pulls the trigger. There's like 5 seconds, maybe 10, where he's trying to say, look, I know what you're thinking, and we can get out of here. We just have to walk out that front door. Bang! Dead. I'm sorry if that was loud. Not giving you a trigger warning. Damn it, that was funny. I don't care if you didn't laugh or not. So, based on the way the character was portrayed up to this point, it is uncharacteristic for her to actually pull the trigger like that. She values life, and it's obvious from the way that the character was built up throughout the rest of the movie. As when she's making these decisions, she's going for the one that's going to cause the least amount of pain for others. She's less worried about the pain for herself and more worried about the pain that she inflicts on her competitors. even after the Asian chick stabs her in the ribs, and I think it's like right here where between the kidney and the lung, she still doesn't want her to be caused any undue pain. But that's kind of the problem, is we knew she was going to win. We knew she was going to walk out with the $500,000 or whatever it was, because it's unimportant. The actual dollar amount is unimportant. And the movie makes a big deal about it because I think they state how much it is at some point, but it's basically, this will take care of your family's debt and your brother's medical bills. And a little bit in there. A little bit extra. So can we guess what happens at the end of this movie? She gets the money. She leaves, and the guy says, "Shouldn't you be thanking me? You won and you have all this money now, thanks to me." And she thanks him in this, "Thank you, bye," type of voice which would you expect. But guess what happens to the brother when she gets back? Oh my God, he killed himself. So, small tangent. I deal with suicidal depression every now and then. It's really bad, and the things I do in my life and the social interactions I've been having recently have kind of opened me back up again, where that's not the more common thought. The more common, it used to be that was the least common thought. Or the most common thought and the least common thought was me just living. If any of your friends or family, and take this as a moment of me up on a fucking soapbox, says things like, "I just don't want to live anymore. I don't want to be a burden. I don't see a way out," do yourself a favor and start talking with them. If they're willing to go to a facility, if they're willing to talk to a counselor, encourage it. If not, I have found the most helpful thing in my personal life is talking with people. Sometimes just the mere act of expressing myself to another person helps me. So, I'm off my soapbox. He killed himself. Overdosed on his cancer medication. And you get the shot of her dropping the money on, I think, a table, and that's the end of the movie. You saw it coming in the first 5 minutes. When he was introduced as a character, that was going to happen, and we all know it. And it's predictable. Movies like, I'm going to use Wishmaster. I liked the Wishmaster, at least the first two. The third one was meh, and the fourth one was... The concept was better in the movie. It's a be careful what you wish for, kind of like Monkey Paw. Except for, I think, Wishmaster had a lot more gore to it. Go Wes Craven. I love your movies. The choices they were offered seemed out of place. A couple of people just died for no reason. And it's easy to say that this was supposed to be a smart film and that you have to look into it. But be prepared for that lecture on, "Well, you made the choice to be here. I didn't force you to be here. Oh my, look at that. My son tried to rape you. I'm sorry about that." Yeah. The movie is interesting in its concept. You're given a choice between two horrible acts. Stab your neighbor or beat the guy who was confrontational with the son. And that's the choices you're given. Would you rather pull out all of your teeth or take 2 minutes in a bucket where a guy is really trying to drown you? Would you rather? Would you rather? Would you rather? And that's the problem. The movie doesn't... For a movie trying to explore the human condition, try to explore the idea of what you'll do for money, it comes off as poorly executed. Oh, the camera shots are nice, but the dialogue is horrible. The characters are equally as bad. Like, the characters are bad. Each character is given a defining characteristic. This guy's a doctor. This guy's Asian, or this woman's Asian. This guy's black. This woman's in a wheelchair. Oh my god, I accidentally killed him. That guy's a gambler. That guy's an ex-vet. He doesn't take no shit. It's all bad. If they all had like a couple minutes of introduction, you might have actually had a pretty decent idea going on with who is going to win. But no. No, that's not what happens. What happens is, oh my god, she wins, her brother kills herself. It's not amusing. And there's movies where we get back to the core question that I asked. Can predictable be good? It can. I'm going to go back to a childhood movie here, but the first Power Rangers movie. Don't judge. I loved that movie. I'd watched it so often on VHS that I could say the movie line for line. I was really into Power Rangers as a kid. But it was predictable. It was predictable as sin, but I still enjoyed it. A lot of horror movies are the same way, especially when it comes to remakes. Let's just say this. Predictable can be good, but it wasn't in this case. Because everything that was left for the predictability of this movie hit point for point. The only thing where you might have been guessing is who's going to die during this round of the Would You Rather game. Oh, it's the lady because she got stabbed in the leg and he accidentally cut the femoral artery and now she bleeds out and oh my god, she's dead. Random guy shot. Blew my fingers off with an M80. Oh my god, heart attack, died. The movie's not good. And I don't like the lectury approach about your choices being what led you here. I don't like that they try to have a political or social dialogue about, oh my god, rich people control every aspect of your life and they do it just with money. See, look at this exploration of the concept. It's weak. But that being said, I'm going to sign off here before I ramble. 1 star. It's bad. If you're looking for something to kill time and you're looking for torture porn light, it's worth the watch, but if you're not into that type of movie, you're not going to enjoy it. Doses.